Hey, folks, thanks for joining me for another episode of the Quiet Light Podcast. Today, we've got a serial entrepreneur that's exited and has spent years helping other entrepreneurs as well. We'll talk about his journey a little bit, and hopefully you'll get some great stuff out of today's episode in regards to boosting your audience and growing your PPC campaigns, things of that nature. Dr. Travis Zigler, welcome to the Quiet Light Podcast.
Joe, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you having me on and really happy to be here. I've been following you for a little while now.
Well, I appreciate that. You're a doctor of ophthalmology, doctor of eyes, right?
Yep. Eyes is the easiest one, but optometrist. So I have my doctorate of optometry degree.
Man, that sounds like a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. It was not as much as an ophthalmologist. It's only 4 years after you graduate undergrad. So it's a full doctorate program, did it at Ohio State.
So what's the difference between a doctorate or an ophthalmologist and a doctor of optometry?
So optometrists are more like dentists. So we have 4 years post-grad training. So you get your bachelor's or whatever, you go into your doctorate program, you have 4 years of that. So chiropractic, I think, is 3 years. A Juris Doctorate, which is a lawyer, is 3 years. Dentist is 4, optometry is 4. Now switching to the ophthalmology side, an MD is an ophthalmologist. So they go to med school. And after med school, they do their fellowship and training, and then they go to focus on ophthalmology. So they're usually about 8 years. And if they want to get even more specialized, it's 12 years.
Way too much. I put in my good years to get my undergrad. I want to say good because it was actually almost 6, because I went to Northeastern University, which is a 5-year school, but I goofed around a little bit. I thought I was going to be an actor for a while and ended up with a minor in theater and a major in finance. And here I am podcasting. And here you are, a podcast guest, and you had me on your podcast less than a week ago, which means you're an entrepreneur as well. So how do you go from a doctorate in optometry, got that right, to becoming an incredibly successful entrepreneur doing over 5 million in revenue? You sold that business. We'll talk about that a little bit. And now running an Amazon PPC agency where you're handling over $1 million a year in ad spend. How did that transition occur?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that just kind of happens. It's a little bit of stir craziness, and you don't know what's going on with your brain. And then all of a sudden you figure it out when you discover entrepreneurship. Yeah. But just to kind of go back, in 2010, I graduated from optometry school. I worked for my uncle throughout undergrad and throughout optometry school. And he's an optometrist in Columbus, Ohio, where I went to school. So I graduated from optometry school, went to work for him for about 4 years, and there was just something missing. I hit my goals of making $100,000 a year. That was like my goal. And I finally hit that, and there's just something missing. And I didn't know what it was, but my wife and I decided to do the 3 things you're not supposed to do. We quit our jobs. We moved across the country from Ohio to South Carolina, and we started 2 practices of our own. And I remember when I told my uncle that I was leaving, I thought he would be mad, but he was actually happy. He was like, you have what I wanted to do. I wanted to move south. I wanted to do all that, but I just didn't have the guts to do it. And you have the entrepreneur brain. You're going to be okay. And I had no idea what that meant. So fast forward to South Carolina, we started our practices, and I went from seeing 6 patients an hour to 1 patient an hour. And so I got a little bored in there. So I came across a course called Amazing Selling Machine and started selling on Amazon in my free time between patients.
Which level did you do? Because I know Matt actually sent Matt an email today. ASM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I am ASM 4. They're on 12 right now, I think. So
very cool.
With that being said, I just fully immersed myself in entrepreneurship. 3 businesses right off the bat. We pretty much opened our practices in January. We started the Amazon business in May. And what we noticed over the next 3 years, what we were doing is we were grinding. We were waking up at 7 every morning to work on, not 7, but like 6 in the morning to work from like 6 to 8. And then we'd go see patients, and then we'd come back home and work on the Amazon business. We didn't have kids at the time. We do now. And so we were seeing patients all day and working on our Amazon business at night and in the morning. And we did that for about 2.5 years. But what we saw is our practices went from 100,000 when we took it over to about 300 to 500, and it had this linear growth. But the Amazon business had this, a little bit more parabolic growth. Mm-hmm. And so it took off extremely fast. And so we knew we had to kind of commit to 1 or at least 2. And so we sold one of our practices in the middle of 2017. Then we sold the other one in 2018, went full time into this. And then like you just talked about, we exited in June of 2021, but we didn't leave the company. We actually still run that company today, and we'll run it either till the end of 2023, or if they sweeten the pot a little bit more, we may even run it until the end of 2025.
That's an interesting exit, because most people that want to sell just want to sell and be done. But you're, a little different entrepreneur, right? You've got your doctorate, you've done more educational training than most of us ever want to. And I don't mean to cut entrepreneurs, but we get that itch early on where we just have to move on to something else, or we get that I can do that mentality. And you've done a lot in a very short period of time. And your exit is interesting. First, I think they approached you. Number one. Number two, you're rolling equity and you're still running the shop as well. Yeah. Is rolling equity right that you still own some of that company?
Yeah. So we still own some of the bigger company now. So the parent company that bought us.
Did you take shares in the bigger company or just a smaller? Okay, good.
Shares. Yep. And then we have an earnout as well. And so I can't talk all the details, but we had an initial buyout, earnout, and equity. And
these are the things that every entrepreneur that reaches out to Quiet Light and fills out that valuation form is terrified of. They want all cash and they want to be done. They don't want an earnout. They don't want to roll equity. They just want to move on to their next adventure. Why did you choose the earnout, and why did you choose to take shares in the new co?
To answer your question why, I'll answer it with the question why. It's finding your why. Why did you get into this business in the first place? And that's the only reason we stayed on. We weren't for sale. They approached us and they had an interesting proposition for us. They were a bigger company than us, not much bigger, but they were bigger than us. And they had a model figured out that we didn't have figured out. We had a model figured out that they didn't have figured out. They went direct to doctor and wholesale, which we didn't do. We did, but it's just organic. It just kind of came to us. Whereas then we do direct to consumer, which they don't do at all. And so that merger was 1 + 1 = 10 versus 1 + 1 = 2. We got to take over all their companies in their portfolio in the direct consumer side. They're taking over our company in the wholesale side. And going back to the why question, our why is to reach 1 million dry eye sufferers. And so people that have dry eyes, my wife and I are both eye doctors. So we focused our brand around dry eyes. We took the ASM course, but we didn't pick products. We picked a consumer that we wanted to serve, which was a dry eye sufferer. And we came out with products around them. And so going back to the why, we're at about 50 to 100,000 people that we've helped over the course of the 5 years. But we knew we could put an accelerant on the fire if we teamed up with them, and we could get to that million faster. And so that synergy between the parent company and us was the fact that they could get us to reach more people faster as a result than if we did it ourselves. It's kind of like the saying that, think about Shark Tank. And people that turn down deals in Shark Tank because they don't want to give up so much equity. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You're getting 1 to 2 to maybe 3 sharks, people that have this massive network that are going to pour accelerant on your fire that's already burning, and it's going to help you grow faster. It's better to own, 60% of a $100 million company than it is to own 100% of a $5 million company. And so going back all the way back to the question, to reach more dry eye sufferers was the reason that we wanted to team up with them to do it. And we knew we'd be losing, a big percentage of our company because they bought it. But we knew the overall lift that's going to occur is going to be greater than if we would have kept it on our own.
But you did get some cash at closing. You've got an earnout and you've got equity in their company now as well.
Yep.
So 3 pluses. What about the daily workload that you and your wife have? Is it roughly the same amount of daily workload, or is some of that daily grind stuff off your plate because they've got a team that can do it for you?
Yes and no. So it's just changed. And so there's different systems and processes that we now have to go through because it's a bigger environment. There's a bigger team involved. And so there are some things that are coming off our plate as a result of joining forces with them. But we're still, we're about 9 months out now. And so we're still kind of feeling each other out, trying to figure out who goes where, who does what. But the resources that we have available now to us, it's just amazing. Like, I've been looking for an eye drop manufacturer for almost 5 years, and they came to me with 120 of them. And I'm just like, well, that made my job easy. And so things have just changed. We are busier than we were before, but they respect the constraints that we have. So we had constraints that we're not moving. We're staying in Austin, Texas. We like it here. We don't want to move there in Philadelphia. So we didn't want to move to Philadelphia. Nothing against the East Coast. I know you're in North Carolina.
It's
not
just
really
cold,
East Coast.
man. Why would you go up there? That's all.
Exactly. And we didn't want to go into an office. We wanted to work from home and work remotely. We wanted our team to stay intact. We didn't want them to get fired or anything like that. And so there are a lot of things that we are busier than ever now, but we're also accelerating a lot faster. We're coming out with 7 products, which we never came out with 7 products in 1 year ever. We usually do about 1 per 6 months, just because that was best for our lifestyle and what we were trying to build. But now we're trying to put some accelerant on the fire, like we talked about earlier, because of the earnouts, because of the buyouts and all that stuff and the equity. So we're in it to work harder, but it has been a definite change. But some things have been taken off our plates, that like the financial side, we don't do anything with the financial side anymore. We just see a P&L and we go over that with the CFO, the CEO, and some of the financial team, try to figure out some inefficiencies. That was a nice thing to let go of because they took it all for us. The legal side, we don't have any more legal that we have to worry about, except we have now legal meetings that we have to go to and figure out, make sure we're doing everything by the book. So It's just changed. It's different. And yeah, it's just a different experience, and I'm glad to be going through it.
Are you on payroll, or is it just okay? So you ended up negotiating payroll into that as well.
Payroll and consultancy. So
gotcha.
I'm both, because the direct to consumer side, my agency actually takes care of that for them, and so the agency runs all the direct to consumer, Amazon selling specifically, and then on the payroll side, I'm the president of the company instead of the CEO now.
Gotcha. So let's talk about the agency, because you scaled to, what was it, 5 million in revenue, 4 million on Amazon, 1 million on Shopify.
Yeah.
And you didn't do that by outsourcing. You did that internally. You built an agency along the way, right? Profitable Pineapple.
Yep.
And that's an agency for PPC on Amazon, if I'm understanding correctly.
Amazon ads. So we do PPC, DSP, Google and Facebook attribution, all to Amazon.
What's the Google and Facebook attribution? Running ads there that end up going to a landing page on Amazon? So
you run Google ad to your Amazon page, and then Amazon has a new, what's called attribution link. So you can now track it. So we've been doing it since 2017. And about a year ago, Amazon finally allowed us to start tracking it, which we couldn't really do before. And so now it's a lot better. Back in 17, when you did that, did you see a bump in organic rankings on Amazon because of it? And so we did figure out a way to track it, but it was just a little bit more complicated because we create a middle page, a landing page to warm them up. Yeah. And then it would be an Amazon Associates link. And so instead of an attribution link direct, because with Google Ads, you can't put an Amazon Associates link in there because it's against their terms of service. So we had to make a bridge page and do it that way, completely in terms of service and everything. But it took a lot to track it and a lot to build it because you're building blog posts and landing pages and everything. And you're spending $1 million a month. I got it wrong at the intro. I think I said $1 million. $1 million a month. You know what? How much did I spend? I never got to that point. When I ran a radio media buying agency, and I maybe got to $450, $500 a month. This is a lot of dough that you're spending on a monthly basis. This is all the clients' accounts that we have together. Right. Not just yours. Right. With iLove, we're at about $150,000 a month. Okay. So $850,000 a month for other clients on Amazon, Google attribution, Facebook attribution. And what is folks, I'm sorry, DSP, display ads. That's okay. DSP's been around for a while. It's display ads. So demand side platform, Amazon DSP demand side platform. And it's essentially the same as Google Display Network, which most people are familiar with. But what it is you can advertise to people on and off Amazon with display banners. And so if somebody's on your page but doesn't buy, you can then retarget them just like you can on Facebook or Google, but you do it with Amazon instead. And so that person's now shopping that person's now getting ready to watch a movie. They're on IMDb. IMDb is owned by Amazon. And so you might see a display ad in Amazon for an Amazon product, which is run by Amazon DSP. And it goes all over the internet on Yahoo, on ESPN, CNN, Fox News, wherever you are on the internet. That's where display ads will follow you. There are display ads on Amazon too. How much revenue is someone losing if they're
spending money on Amazon PPC ads, but not doing DSP? Is
DSP, it's the biggest opportunity to make, it's low hanging fruit, because if you're in consumables, then you can get people, you can literally make an audience that they haven't bought from you in the last 30 days or whatever your time frame window is, but they haven't bought from you in 30 days, but they bought from you previously. And so you're just retargeting people to get you back to buy. That's by far the best converting ad you'll ever run, because they like your product. They've already bought it. That you hope they like it. And then they're just coming back to buy it again. They're already comfortable with it. So those usually run at like a 10 to 20 ROAS, where you're spending 1,000 to make 10 to 20,000. And then the retargeting piece, you can actually retarget people that have been on your listing and didn't buy, but you can also retarget people that have bought your competitors' products. And really? It's insane the amount of detail you can get with Amazon DSP. And so if you're not doing it, I always recommend you should be doing about 50,000 a month in revenue before you start DSP ads. But it creates this brand lift that is just absurd how much it can do, because the ROAS is so high on it. And then you can go all the way to the top of the funnel. People that are completely cold, you're just interest targeting like you do on Facebook. Of course, ROAS for those are usually under 1. And so that's part of the scale process to get there. But just those simple retargeting ones lifts your brand quite a bit.
And you learned all of this by testing it out on iLove and learning through actually doing it.
I learned all of this from hiring 5 different agencies, going through 6 different softwares with iLove, and not finding anything that I really liked. I didn't like how agencies were treating us. And agencies, it was a very touchy subject for me, because I just don't feel like a lot of agencies out there treat you like they're your partner. And that's what we wanted to do, is treat you like a partner and make you feel like I'm one of your team members. And so I was frustrated with that. And so one of my best friends, he taught English down in Mexico. He was a best friend from college. Teaching English does not pay at all. And I said, hey, I've got like 4 people asking me to run their ads for them. I'm way too busy to do it. Do you want to team up, make an SOP? We'll figure this out together, and we'll do it. And those 4 people are still with us today, which is pretty cool, because that was about 4 years ago now. And he was like, yeah, but he wouldn't quit his job. And I was like, just quit your job, man. Trust me, I've got you. This is all going to work out. Well, finally, he ended up quitting after about 3 months and seeing what an agency can bring in, both financially, but how much we can help these people, because they're just not getting the help they need. And we scaled those 4 companies. We took one of the companies from 100,000, and they're doing close to 3 million now. And this is all with 2 products. Wow. And so it's been a pretty steady ascent, but it's been pretty fun just manipulating with Amazon PPC and everything. And that's kind of the how we started the agency, is just, to fill your own need like any entrepreneur would do. And then we're just learning along the way.
Yeah, that's just what you said there, filling your own need like most entrepreneurs do. That's how most SaaS businesses start and agencies start. You're just satisfying your own need because you weren't satisfied with the services that were out there or products that were out there. You mentioned a few minutes ago that you don't recommend DSP until somebody hits $50,000 in revenue, or annual revenue or monthly revenue
per month. Yeah.
Per month. How do you, as an agency, say yes or no to clients? Do you have minimum size clients revenue wise that you take on?
We always recommend you doing at least 25,000 a month to work with an agency, period. And especially with ours, because it's an ROI thing. And so when you look at what you're paying for us versus how much we can really optimize your ads when you're a little smaller, it's not going to be good from an ROI standpoint for you if you're only doing 10,000 a month. Now, with that being said, we have helped brands launch, but we get on a phone call with everybody before we enroll them in the agency. And we always want to make sure it's a fit for both parties, because with every 10 applications that we get, we probably offer 2 people to come on board with the agency. And then, we're not going for scale. We actually just go because we believe in the brand, and we want brands that are on a mission to make the world a better place, a mission similar to my wife and I. We have we have a lot of doctors. So a lot of doctors that sell supplements and consumables. That's kind of been our biggest niche, because they saw what we did and they want the same thing that we did. And so that's been kind of a big space for us, but behind it, they all have a great mission. And so that's what we're really focused on, is companies with great missions. because that's more fun. And that gets my team riled up and ready to go too. And all of our agency managers that are in our team, they're actually brand owners themselves too. They're building a brand themselves. So they understand what it's like to be the CEO of a brand. And then they're kind of helping you run it while learning with their own brand too and how to run it. And then they have the mentorship from us and from me and my two partners in the agency as well.
So for the clients that are doing less than $25,000 a month, and this is a problem we have at Quiet Light, and we have to turn away clients as well because they're not big enough. They're not doing enough in revenue and profit. So we help them in other ways. We educate them. That's why we have a podcast. That's why I wrote a book. That's why Waka wrote a book. That's why we have, a course that they can go through on understanding the value of your business and doing things to grow it. Do you offer similar things? I think I saw a masterclass that you have on your website.
We have a free Amazon PPC masterclass. We have a book. We have a YouTube channel. So we have a Facebook group. So yeah, we've done exactly the same things. And whenever I get an inquiry about somebody that's a little too small, I send them to my free course. I send them to my free audience building course. So we have both Amazon PPC and how to build a brand that actually matters.
I want to talk about the audience thing as well, but on the course, are you covering all of the things that you talked about, DSP, Google and Facebook, attribution and sponsored ads?
We focus on Amazon PPC because at the end of the day, Amazon PPC is the bread and butter with Amazon advertising. Okay. Once you get Amazon PPC figured out and locked in, it's the 80-20 for advertising in my mind for Amazon. Okay. Once you get that locked in, that's when you can start to consider Google, Facebook, and DSP. So the audience building course, I actually go through Google a little bit and Google attribution, but Amazon PPC course really teaches you how to focus on it. And it all just goes back to 80-20. Most clients that we take over, most people that are struggling with Amazon PPC, it's because they're going after so much. And when you look at their account, 20% of their search terms are accounting for 80% of their revenue. Same thing with their products. 20% of their products are accounting for 80% of their revenue. And what you do is you just pull back, focus everything on that 20%. Your profit goes up, your sales go up, and then you'll have enough money and cash flow to then focus on those other products. So we have, I want to say close to 15 to 20 SKUs right now. 4 of those SKUs, now 5 actually, 5 of those SKUs are home run products. So 80-20, it's about 25% for us. Mm-hmm. But 5 of those are home run products. They sell over 70 a day. And then the rest of them all sell maybe 10 a day, 20 a day, 5 a day, something like that.
Okay, let's talk briefly. And I still want to talk about building that audience because I know you built an audience of 100,000 followers over the last 5 years. But let's talk about the ads and this is me being a little selfish, but also I know the audience is wondering the same thing. When I launched the book, Scribe Media went ahead and created some ads on Amazon. I think I spend $250, $300 a month. I've logged in twice in the last 8 months. I'm sure it's complete and total wasted money. It's not much, but what's the easiest and most effective ad that you can run on Amazon?
If you're going to only log in once a month, just run an auto campaign. That's going to be your best ad. Amazon auto campaigns with a lower bid, don't go too crazy with it. But the best ad are exact match campaigns and broad match campaigns around your brand. And so if you're not going to pay attention at all, make sure you have a defensive ad campaign. Somebody's going on to Amazon, searching Entrepreneur Playbook, searching Joe Valley, searching Quiet Light. You want to make sure your book shows up for all that. If your book doesn't show up in the sponsored section, because it will organically, but if it doesn't show up in the sponsored, somebody else is going to be there. Somebody else is going to steal your sale.
Somebody else is going to steal the sale. So that's my thought. If somebody's going on to buy the Entrepreneur's Playbook, they do that search and they don't see it in the sponsored ads. If they're looking for searching for a specific product like my book, wouldn't they just scroll down to organic or? And I know that if I was selling supplements, I feel like it's the case with my book in this particular thing, and absolutely not the case if I was selling supplements, because there aren't really any other books specific to exiting online businesses. Now, granted, there are some books that talk about exits, and the way that they craft their ads may make the potential buyer think that it's the right book for them, even though it's not specific to online exits. So I guess they can tweak the ad and manipulate it to sucker the buyer into spending their money. But if I was a supplement company, I'm with you all day long. I used to buy my competitors' keywords and they'd buy mine. So, okay, I get it. I just did a full circle on that, didn't I?
Yeah. Defensive ads are the number one, easiest one that you can put up quickly, and you don't have to monitor it because it's usually pretty cheap.
And from there, how do you then scale your, if you're going to go just defensive ads, how do you then scale it beyond that? What's the next step or two?
After defensive ads, you're going to go after keyword targeting ads. So search ads. So there's two different types of search when you're on Amazon PPC. There's browse keywords, then there's shopping keywords. So people that are just browsing around, gifts for men, that's a browse keyword because they're just searching for something for a man. Or if they're looking for vitamin D supplements, they're looking for a vitamin D supplement, but they don't know what they want yet. And so browse keywords tend to be a lot more expensive because they're not quite as sure-minded. Whereas in a shop keyword, let me go back to like a disease state. Blepharitis is an eyelid inflammation. It's what we target a lot. If you search blepharitis, that's a browse keyword. If you search blepharitis treatment, that's going to be more of a shop keyword. But then if you search eyelid wipes for blepharitis, that's a really good shop keyword. And so you can see the different types of keywords. So what you do is you do keyword research. So I would start out with a tool like Magnet from Helium 10. I'd put in blepharitis just because I know my product.
Sure.
You should know your product at least a little bit. Like yours would be exit, entrepreneur, exiting business, something like that. And then you see what all comes up and you go through those keywords and you categorize them into shop and browse. And then what we do is we go after the shop keywords first. The shop keywords that aren't high volume, that aren't highly competitive, you go after the longer tail ones that have lower search volume. And you go after like 10 to 20 of those and you put those in a broad campaign and you push those because that will start spitting out more keywords for you. We call those discovery campaigns. Discovery campaigns are just helping you discover search terms that might pop and make your product take off. And so a broad is a discovery campaign and auto is a discovery campaign. Auto in Amazon PPC is just you let Amazon do everything, which can be good and bad. They discover keywords, but it gets expensive over time. And then what you do is when you find search terms that are working, so we're going to come back a month later, look at the data and see search terms that are working. Then we put those into exact. And so those are our scale campaigns. Where some entrepreneurs get it wrong or Amazon sellers, they'll then take that search term and make it a negative in the initial campaign. I don't like doing that because they're going to be different bids. And so the bids will go up and down according to how much you want to scale them or not. And so they'll show up in different areas. So I never really negative match that. That's getting a little bit more in the weeds, but we go from defensive to auto and broad discovery to then exact scale. And so that's kind of the phase of the transition of the linear sequence of Amazon PPC.
The search tool on Helium 10 to help with the keyword creation was called Magnum.
That one's called Magnet. Yep.
Magnet. I used to do it in, Excel spreadsheets, and there were other tools out there. Look, this is going back to, I sold my last e-commerce business in 2010 and I never did any Amazon stuff, but everything that you talked about was inside of Google Ads,
yep.
Right? Keyword, broad, negative, all that. And I had all of those different campaigns and ads set up for them. So those are the campaigns. Those are the different categories of campaigns. What about the ad itself? Any tips on the best converting ads?
So you can't do inside Amazon PPC. There's not, when we're doing the search ads, there's not a lot of customization you can do for it. It's not like Google ads. Okay. And so the biggest thing you can do is make your offer appealing to buy, because that's going to increase your conversion rate, which is going to increase your ranking, which is going to increase your PPC conversion rate, which is going to lift your whole entire product listing.
So in my case, raise the value of your business by $100,000 or money back guarantee.
100%. So the best thing you can do on Amazon is a coupon, not a coupon code, but just a coupon that you can clip on the listing. And you can do, when we're launching a product, we run a 50% off, 50% off coupon until we get either to 100 sales or 1,000 subscribers. We push the product so much. It's either 100 sales a day, 1,000 subscribers, or 1,000 reviews. Those are the three metrics that we look at. And we'll push a 50% off coupon until we get to one of those three. And that gives us the sales velocity to get to the top of the rankings.
And through your ad spend and cost of goods sold, are you losing money at that point, or are you breaking even along the way?
We price ours. I like premium products. So we price ours a little more premium, not as premium as I want to be, but we're still higher priced. And so with that 50% off coupon, we still have a little bit of wiggle room for profit, not much, but we are about break even after advertising. And so that's what we want to do for a long time.
From the very beginning, within the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're break even.
Yes, because we premium price 50% off coupon. Even with no reviews, people will buy you because you have a 50% off coupon. You have to make it more appealing. And that's how we build up reviews, because reviews come from sales velocity. Right. Sales velocity comes from making the offer really appealing and then having good PPC behind it.
It's interesting. I saw a book. I forget who it was. It might have been Gino Wickman, where the cost of the book just surprised me. Right. So, the problem is, I think that people get too close to their own products and they don't see the value sometimes. Yep. Well, every other book is $15.99. Mine should be too. Whereas I see, the value of, somebody that actually buys the book and then actually reads it will add tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to their business, and actually get up and be excited about operating it again, because they know an exit's in mind. It's invaluable. And I think I could sell it for $1,000 a pop and people would still be very satisfied with it if they bought it and read it. But how do you measure yourself against, premium pricing and make sure you're not going outside that premium pricing? Because you've probably looked at that going, all right, so I can't triple the price of my competitors, but how do you figure that out in your world?
Yeah, it's all about testing. So you got to split test your price. And I'll give you a quick example. So we started out one product at $15 and we had a 50% off coupon. So very, very little room. We were break even if best on that product. And we built it up pretty fast to about 75 to 100 sales per day. And so after that, we started running out of stock. So we couldn't keep in stock. So we raised the price to $20. Sales didn't slow down. So we raised the price to $25. Sales didn't slow down. We're now at $30. We started at 15 with no coupon, because again, stock is an issue because we have a global worldwide shortage of one of our ingredients. And so we're now at $30. Our best selling competitor, $9.97. So we are $20. We are triple the price of them. And it's all about testing.
And your sales still haven't gone down, even though you've tripled the price or doubled the price in this case.
We have an ingredient shortage. So we don't plan on going down anytime soon, because we have over 75,000 on order, but we just can't get it in because of that ingredient shortage. So we actually reformulated and we're now getting it made without that ingredient, which actually didn't have an effect on safety, efficacy, or anything.
Would that have happened without the deal that you just made with the buyer of your business? Was it one of those 100,000 manufacturers they shared with you, or with your current manufacturer?
This is a manufacturer we brought to them. So this is one of our manufacturers that we had. Yeah. So it's a global shortage. So it's not just them. We have it with another manufacturer. We're having trouble with that same ingredient, and we're actually just removing it from all our products because it's a thickener. So it's not really needed.
Did your click-through rate go down? Your conversion rate go down? Your cost to acquire a new customer go down? Any of that change?
It's funny because our conversion rate after we took off the coupon was still at 50% on Amazon. And so it's an absurdly high conversion rate on Amazon. And that product just continues to perform for us. And that's not an exception to the rule. We have other products that go in low on stock. So we raise the price $5, and sellers have seen this over and over again. It actually increases your sales because you don't want to get caught in the sea of same price items where you're all fighting for the bottom. And then all of a sudden there's one that pops up at the top. And you're like, why is that one so much more?
Yeah. I sold a business almost 16 months ago now. There was a similar situation. There was just a product shortage in the category she was in, and she raised her prices by $4 a unit just to offset and slow down sales a little bit. It actually accelerated sales and her conversions went up, and she didn't drop the prices. She just left them there. Yep. And so we actually had to do an adjustment in the ad back schedule for an increase in cost in profit by $4 a unit for I think it was 6 months prior. And people, this is where you lose money when you sell directly to an aggregator, is you don't do this kind of math. So the increase in profit went up by $4 a unit. And she used to sell 4,000 units a month. And so for the 6 months prior, in the trailing 12 months where she didn't have that, we did an adjustment in the add back schedule, total number of units sold per month times $4, because that increase was carrying forward to the new owner of the business. We had multiple offers. It closed in record time. And this is not like $100,000 business. This was like $2.5 million. And an aggregator bought it. Okay. So that's the type of situation where you need to go, okay, save the broker fee? I don't think so. Make sure you do the math and get the true value of your business. The aggregators will pay the true value with lots of proper math and logic oriented add backs. I'm ranting, Travis. Sorry. Let's jump to, the raving fans, right? Because Pat Flynn wrote a book called Raving Fans. I have it somewhere around here. Huh?
Super fans.
Super fans. You know exactly what it is. Listen to you.
I just read it.
Like just read last month. Good. I have it. I haven't read it yet. Is it a great read?
It's exactly what we did.
Okay. I've had it for about a year. So exactly what did you do to get 100,000 followers over the last, 5 years or so?
The key thing is you're not serving a customer, you're serving a person. And that's the first thing you have to know is whoever you're serving is somebody on the other side of that screen, or is somebody on the other side of that phone, or is somebody. I mean, they're a mom, they're a dad, they're a brother, they're a sister, they're a son, they're a daughter, they're somebody. And the more you realize that and treat people like people, the more raving fans you're going to have. And so that's kind of the first thing to ever know is that there's a person, and we dealt with dry eye. So dry eye sufferers, it's debilitating. People can't even open their eyes. They've tried everything. They've gone to multiple doctors and they've just had trouble because the prescription drops suck. They just don't work. And that's why we started a holistic based approach to dry eye. And so we taught people functional medicine around it. And it was a breath of fresh air because it was completely different than everything their doctor had ever told them. But here's the thing is it got results. And so number one, if you want to create raving fans, you got to make results for somebody, either get them out of hell or get them to heaven. And so you're in the heaven business. You're trying to get somebody financially freeing exit. It's getting them to that ideal of when I sell, I'm going to have all this money and therefore I'm going to be financially free for the rest of my life. And so you're trying to get them to a heaven where I was trying to get them out of hell. They were dry eye sufferer. They couldn't do their job. They couldn't even watch TV. They couldn't read a book.
Wow.
And so once you realize that kind of mentality of where you are and how to position yourself and who you're serving, then everything else comes pretty easy.
How did you do that for the Amazon customers? Because you don't have direct contact with them. I'm assuming this was done mostly through the Shopify channel?
It was mostly done through Facebook.
Mostly done through Facebook. Okay.
On Facebook, we came out with a group called the Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community. It's still there for now. Might be taken down soon, unfortunately, because it's helped so many people. We have about 17,000 in there right now. And these are people that are searching for dry eye help on Facebook. And they were the first to pop up. So if you go to Facebook, type in dry eye, you'll see us. It wasn't always like that. We were like number 20 on that page. But what we did is we decided to dedicate one hour of every single week to answering questions or just talking about dry eye or just talking about drinking more water or
just
eating
1 hour. How did you do that?
1 hour a week.
Because this is the reason why Quiet Light doesn't have, a Facebook Q&A page, because we figure it's going to take a heck of a lot more time than 1 hour a week.
It will eventually.
Okay.
But at the beginning, that's all we committed to. So what we do is we would, we looked up dry eye and we went to answerthepublic.com or .org or whatever it is. And it spits out a ton of questions for you. So like, what is dry eye? What are dry eye symptoms? What are dry eye treatments? What are this? What is that? And so all we did is each week we'd go live on Facebook. If you don't want to go live, you can record it. If you don't even want to go on video, you can just type it up. But we'd answer the question that's most relevant around their problem that they're having. We went live because we're doctors and it was just a lot easier to go live. And my first video was terrible. I have a professional camera now. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you see the professional camera, it's HD. I have a professional microphone. My first video was my laptop looking up my nose with my laptop microphone. And I'm like, we're going to talk about vitamin E today. And it was just so bland.
Were you
and
reading
everybody's
the
got
script?
That story. What?
Were you reading a script too?
Yes, I was. I was reading the script. So but we just kept going live and we got better and better at it. We got better and better every single week. And what happened was we invited all our family and friends. So we had a total of 50 people there at the beginning and nobody showed up to our lives. But the algorithm shifted, saw that there was engagement in our community because we were going live all the time. People started joining it. People started interacting with it. And that snowball just starts to affect. It's the same thing in business. You start to push the flywheel and eventually the flywheel just starts to roll on its own. And now we actually aren't allowed to post in that group anymore because of the new corporate environment that we're in. Oh. And with the FDA regulations and everything, they don't want us doing anything with the group anymore, which is unfortunate, but it's at 17,000 people now. It's got a life of its own. People recommend our products now without us having to be in there doing it. When we started this group, we didn't have any products around dry eye. We were just out there to serve a person, serve a dry eye sufferer, make their life better. And it happened because we had Western medicine fail us in our lives with infertility. We explored Eastern medicine and we got pregnant in 3 months. So that shifted our whole concept of like, if this works for infertility, why can't this work for dry eye? And so that's when we started teaching people and serving them how to heal their dry eye using natural methods. Like I said earlier, drinking more water, green smoothies, eating healthier, stressing less, sleeping better. Like those 5 things can make a huge difference in disease states. And so serving that person, we just went live every day on every week on Facebook. We did Q&A sessions. But here's the key part. When you start getting engagement, comment back, send them a message. Just say, is there anything else I can help you with? Let them know that you're there for them. That's how you create your first 100 raving fans. And then they take over the rest. They help you build that whole audience because they'll start sharing it with everybody else. And we did the same thing with the agency. It's no different.
And this can be done with grilling aprons or supplements or dry eye sufferers, whatever the product category might be, you think? Yeah.
So if you're a grilling apron, that's what you're selling. Who are you serving? You're not selling a grilling apron. You're serving the mom or you're serving the grill master. So you're serving somebody. So that's what you got to figure out. And you got to figure out what their pain point is or what their pleasure point is and figure out how to get them there.
I tell you what, one of the best folks or brands at doing that is Live Bearded. I've got stubble. It's not really a beard, but Live Bearded. This is a situation where they have raving fans as well, but it's a bunch of dudes. It's a bunch of burly dudes with beards that are raving fans that are telling their friends and their family about this brand because they do that so well. And obviously you've done it well, incredibly well as well. So we're running out of time here a little bit, but folks, if you didn't catch it earlier, we're talking about this latter half about, Profitable Pineapple, profitablepineapple.com, your sponsored ads, PPC agency, where you're spending, how much was it? $1 million a month in ad spend for clients?
Yep, $1 million a month.
Your favorite categories or niches that you work with, does it matter? Or is it just anybody that's got a great brand that serves great people?
Just have to have a brand that serves people. We don't want to sell plastic widgets on China just to sell more plastic widgets on China.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right. Any thoughts on how people can connect with you and reach out to you? What's the best way?
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me do this. Facebook, we have a group called the Amazon PPC Pros. What I just described, we go live once every 2 weeks because my time is limited right now. But we usually release a video once every 2 weeks in there. But Amazon PPC Pros on Facebook. Our channel on YouTube is called PPC Pros by Profitable Pineapple. Talk about consonants. If you remember that from English class, we got all the P's in there. And our website's profitablepineapple.com. And you can apply to work with us there. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is through Facebook. So joining Amazon PPC Pros and joining that group, you'll find me in there. I'm one of the admins and I post a lot. So don't be afraid to tag me, reach out, direct message me, whatever you need to do.
That's fantastic. Thanks for all the good tips and advice. I've got some work to do. I'm actually going to go through your masterclass myself and hopefully lots of other folks will as well. Thanks for your time today, Travis. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.